the world is complex. And our tools must match the world. So let me pause for a minute and talk a little bit about why I am here and what it is that I do. So I want to give a little bit of a history of how I came here and how I came to be in design, because I was not trained as a designer. I was first trained as an engineer, an electrical engineer. I had 2 degrees in engineering. And then I switched to psychology and have a doctorate in psychology. So engineering and psychology, why am I in design? In fact, in my early history, I was at the University of Art to analyze why things went wrong. They will analyze this part and that part and this part, and then they'll see that the operator did something that maybe today, when we look backwards, we say, oh, they should not have done that. And so we will say, human error. Instead of saying, okay, why did the person do that? What were the things that led to the human error? It's really interesting how we stop at the human, because what we are trying to do, what the companies try to do, is find somebody to blame, and then they feel good. Blame and punish. But that doesn't stop the problem. The same problem will occur again. So good design says, let's try to understand what is fundamental. So far I've talked about why computers, why technology and why design needs to be understandable, and why it's so powerful in making it smart, and why it will become invisible. But I've left out aesthetics and beauty and pleasure. And so my next book was Emotional Design, arguing that, emotion is more important than logic. We like to think that emotion is sort of, we think that logic is what's important. At least that's what we teach in the university. It's all about logic. It all started with the ancient Romans, or Greeks. But actually logic is artificial. It's not the way people think. I mean, we have to learn logic. We have to be taught logic. And if logic were natural, the way we normally think, we wouldn't have to teach it. The brain contains 2 very powerful systems. One is logic. We call that cognition. The other is emotion. The emotional system makes very rapid judgments. It usually comes first to take complexity and make it understandable. So here, this is complex. Complex meal in Korea. But it's understandable and even fun. And even if you don't understand it, it's fun learning what are all those things that they're giving in front of me. When I first had a Korean meal, I thought they were doing something special for me because they gave me so many dishes. But I soon realized that's the everyday Korean meal. This is a meal in just an everyday restaurant, nothing special. Or here's something that looks complex and even complicated. But to the people who work there, it's understandable, and you can look at it and figure it out for yourself. It is understandable. Or here's a street scene in Hong Kong. Chaotic, messy, but that's the way streets are. So that's real life. So, yeah, the people who live there don't have any trouble. And this. So this, like a salt and pepper shaker, is very simple. But you don't know which is which, then it's a mess. It's confusing, especially if you use the wrong one. So a light switch can be very simple. But when you have a long row of them, who knows which switch controls which? And what do people do? They either put big labels on it, or they just do every switch till they see what happens. And usually when I see these kinds of switches, I discover what people do is they either put them all on and all off. That's what they do. They just do them all. It's too hard to remember an experiment each time. Just put them all on, put them all off.